takes it. Just looks like we're live. Welcome to the Renegade Butcher show. Glad y'all made it. Glad y'all are here. It's episode 25. So here we are again. I am live on TikTok as well. So far, they haven't pulled my feed this time because I am not driving. I am in the car, but we are not going anywhere. Anyways, folks, hope y'all are having a good week. I've been having one of those kind of nothing bad, but kind of cold the last few days, and I think I'm about over it. So ready to get back to doing some more stuff, but I've been resting up and trying to take care of everything. Hey there, Lots Project. I see you there, Brian. And yeah, it's just been a bunch of juggling this, that, and the other thing. But it's been an interesting couple days as far as social media goes. TikTok, I'm up over like 2,100 now. Bunch of crazy comments the last few days. That's been interesting. So yeah, if you're not over there, go check it out. But tonight, I kind of wanted to talk to folks about well, the whole grass-fed, grain-fed, grain-finished. What's it all mean? How does it relate to livestock? How does it relate to your finished product? And there's so much talk about it. Everybody is talking about it. And it's like anything else in food, in health, stuff becomes a buzzword, and they get used so much one direction or the other, they start to lose their meaning. So I'm going to kind of key in right here on a little secret. Every cow is grass-fed. This is just related to beef. The other animals, we can throw these in the discussion here. If you guys got questions, ideas, thoughts, throw them up there in the chat, and I should see them if you're on YouTube, Facebook, or any of the places like that. So anyways, every cow's grass-fed. Every cow eats grass. I mean, it's very bare minimum eats hay, but I mean, at least unless it's living on the Arctic Circle, it's eating grass. Whether or not it is finished out towards the end of its life or it receives supplements the rest of the time is up for debate. But let me shock some of you right now, too. Some states actually regulate the term grass-fed. Do you know what is allowed to be called grass-fed? Something that has, in the last 90 days before it's, time to slaughter, has eaten nothing but grass species. You know what is a grass species? Wheat. You know what is a grass species? Oats. Corn. Maize. Yeah. You could literally, legally, this is why it's bullshit, legally feed a cow nothing but corn. And technically, since maize is a species of grass, in the state of Texas, you could get away with it. They couldn't really come at you for false marketing for calling it grass-fed. Now, that's not what most people expect when they hear that. So, I see Brian over there banging the TikTok likes. I appreciate that. Looking to see if there are any comments. Don't see anything cool over there, but we've got it up there and running. I appreciate that, Brian. But yeah, there's just so much deceptive stuff that can go on. And the problem is the more regulation we get into it, the more loopholes we create. So the more people who aren't honest can take advantage of that. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you need to do your research on your animals and what you're going to consume and try to be as educated as you can about it. But it's a difficult topic. Most people don't have time to go to college and learn about animal feed science. So, hey, Kyle, good to see you over there. Says, say it isn't so. No, it isn't so. Well, I will say, based on what I've seen, when it comes down to it, properly done grass-fed meat does have some health benefits in that it's, has benefits in multiple different ways. Health side of things, it has a different omega-3 to omega-6 balance, which is going to be better for you. I'm not saying that grain-finished meat is necessarily bad for you. This is not health advice. I actually prefer at least partially grain-finished meat for a lot of things. But you make your own health choices. As far as the standpoint of sustainability in raising your own animals, if you're able to raise those animals fully on pasture, by all means do it if you can, especially if that fits your end goals, But not everybody is going to be able to pull that off. Just like not everybody is going to be able to get chickens in their backyard and let them free range and forage everything that they need. They're probably going to have to supplementally feed. And you know what? That's okay. In my mind, if folks are now producing something and doing something themselves that they otherwise wouldn't be able to. So if you just don't have good enough pastures, maybe yet, maybe ever, maybe just not quite enough space, but you feel like you can actually give a cow a good amount of room, and it has some graze, and you're willing to provide hay and maybe some supplemental feed, it's not a bad way to go. It's better than doing nothing. However, just understand what you're doing and how those different feed parameters change things. The other thing that gets really messy is people have certain expectations when it comes to livestock, how it's going to finish out. There is no breed of cow that you can just go buy and raise it and throw food at it. Appreciate it over there, Corey. Throw food at it and it's going to magically come out prime. It doesn't work that way. There's a whole science into feeding these animals, and it's a bunch of factors. The genetics have to be right. The climate and the time of the year have to be right. The feed has to be correct, and so many other things. And there's still a little bit of luck of the draw. So probably, I don't know the exact percentages. I don't want to pull numbers out of my ass, but it's a small percentage of animals, even that are raised commercially, that ever make it to a store shelf as a steak. Whether it's choice, select, prime, however you want to slice it, those are the top tier. Most of the rest of the things end up as ground or utility beef, pet food, things like that. If they just don't make the cut, they're not going to look good. Nobody's going to care if it's in a tube of ground beef. But if you want a good steak, you want to look at it, you want to see that marbling, you want to see that good form, you want tenderness to it. So those selected animals are kind of the top tier. We see that, and everybody expects that's what's going to happen. I bought an Angus and I fed it a bunch of sweet feed. It doesn't always work out that way. You also can't just take an animal and throw it out on a pasture and expect it to come out perfect. So don't make the cut. Yeah, you're correct there, Brian. I didn't even realize that pun. Good catch. But even then, when it comes to, say, grass-fed, there are some shitty animals out there. Trust me, there are guys out there being a little bit deceptive too. They've got old dairy cows that are peddling it's grass-fed because they've just spent most of their life out on pasture doing their thing. They don't need to get a ton of supplemental feed, depending on what they have going on. Once they try it up, they just kind of let them do their thing and they send them off. Well, if you can sell that at grass-finished beef, which it technically is, legally, an unsuspecting person is going to end up with some shoe leather, you know. They're going to look at it and see that bright yellow fat with all the high keratin in it from eating all that grass and think, man, that's going to be great. And they're beat the 6-7-year-old cow. So sometimes those are good, but rolling the dice, it really is. You have to really kind of go out and check your research. Now, if somebody is producing a heavily marbled, really good steak and they're calling it grass-fed, I mean, grass finished, and they're not telling you about their supplemental feed, start asking questions, because that's really hard to achieve. I'm not saying I've never seen it done, but it takes excellent pasture. It takes all the right things going on in the climate. It takes the right breeds and genetics of cows that will actually marble well on grass. And there's just so much that goes into it. It's a very complicated topic. And there's people who are a lot smarter than me and teach whole college classes on this that spend their whole life studying this and still don't have all the answers. So don't feel bad if you don't produce the beef that you were looking to produce. But the same thing boils down to other breeds of animals too. When we're talking about, say, just pigs. Some pigs are really going to need that supplemental feed to finish out. If you buy a high production pig, something that's a production breed or a cross, or for sure, it's going to need to eat a lot. You know, you're not going to just toss the thing out on your pasture and have it root around and eat grass. That's like buying Cornish cross and trying to get them to free range and not fall over and die, because they're bred to put on meat as fast as possible. And you need to put them in a calorie excess to be able to gain weight. So if you're looking for pasture-raised pigs, look for a pasture breed, a breed that does well with that. Yes, Brian. Yes, some of them college fellers are pretty smart. But I will say, well, I don't think people need to necessarily go to college to learn all of this stuff. There's been a lot going on. There's been a lot of leaps. Hey. Apparently I'm out for a second there. Oh, maybe I'm back. I don't know. I think my signal might be a little bit crap, but there's a school bus that drove by. So, hey, hang in there with me, and I appreciate it. But anyways, folks, there's been a lot that has been learned in the way of meat science and how this all comes together. So I'm not going to judge anybody that wants to grain finish an animal by any means, but I do understand why people may want to raise something out entirely on pasture. And I mean, more power to you if you're able to do so. Yep. Good. Brian says he can see me. Awesome. So, but the same can come down to your poultry. Are you providing everything that your poultry needs directly from your property? If you're not, if you've got to buy some scratch grain from the store, it's not really any different than somebody who is grain finishing out beef. Just things to think about. So be as self-sufficient and self-sustaining as you can be. If you're raising your own animals, that's awesome. But on the flip side of that, if you are the provider, if you are raising these animals and selling them, just be honest with people about what you're providing, because it becomes these labels that we throw around, like organic, which we all know has become a joke. And if you don't know that, I mean, check it out. It means nothing. It just means they have to use a different label on their herbicide, basically. Between organic or grass-fed or cage-free or whatever labels we want to put on animal products now, they may mean something at the beginning, but typically they just become a marketing term. So you can't trust any of that shit just because that has that label slapped on it. You need to ask questions, be involved, and go and look. Otherwise, you're buying the same thing that you could buy off the store at the groceries, whatever local grocery store you want to go to, or potentially an inferior product to that they just want to unload. That does happen too, and I hate to say that. Am I allowed to be that close to children? Brian asks. I don't. To my knowledge, yes, but I actually try to stay as far away from them as possible. You'll notice that I am inside the vehicle with the windows up and the doors locked. So there's some sort of, I'm not even sure what's going on in this stadium parking lot over here. They won't kick me out of this like they would the park up the road, but I've got good Wi-Fi here. There's some sort of sports ball. I think it's soccer, but I can't see down into the field, and I'm not really that interested. So but yeah, if you guys have any questions or thoughts on the whole livestock feed, forage versus grains, throw them out there in the comments, and we'll chat about them here. But I just kind of wanted to open up that level of discussion there, because I know everybody is really interested in that. It's become kind of the talk everywhere you go: grass-fed, but most people don't even know what that means. And if they are expecting a grain-finished steak, they're going to be disappointed. And the sad part is, a lot of folks will actually end up trying something labeled as grass-fed, and I mean, it would be legitimately grass-fed, grass-finished, and it was just a really bad steak, probably because it was often something that was raised, questionably by somebody who really didn't know what they were doing, or it was on a dairy cow. So it was probably tough, maybe had an odd flavor to it. They didn't like it, because they're used to the ribeye they buy out there at off the shelf at the grocery store. It's going to be a little bit different. You can get close to that if everything falls in place and the stars all align, and you're very, very good at managing pasture with grass-fed. But as we were talking about, try to see if there's anything going on over there. Oh, TikTok got some stuff going on. I'll have to check that a little bit. I can't see the screen over there. But we were talking over in the Telegram chat the other day when it came down to, let's see here, Brian's got one here. What's the best kind of grass for a cow? Bermuda or sawgrass. You know what? Honestly, I'm not a grass expert when it comes down to pasture. There are a lot of guys that could tell you better than me. I would say one of the few times I would say talk to the government about it, but no, your local county extension office. Usually those guys have pretty good localized information on what grows well in your area and is good graze for cattle, depending on the season too. Just, down here, a lot of people sow oats and stuff in the winter as a cover crop and as early spring graze, but they know it dies off. So oats and rye, I think, are really, really, really common down here. Usually it'll be seasonal ryegrass that people will seed out, but I would prefer to go with perennial myself. But I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about pasture. Some folks seed in a lot of things like lentils and clovers. It really depends on your goals, what you're trying to do, and I guess the condition of your soil too. Now, somebody like a Nick Ferguson that does consultations on things exactly like that and trying to permaculture your property, that'd be a guy to talk to. find somebody who really knows your soil, your situation, and what your needs are, and it's worth getting a consultation. I'm the guy to consult with on how to actually turn that into things you want to eat, and I'll give you as much guidance as I can and point you in the right way. But I couldn't tell you how to graze your cow. Let's see. Does grass feeding cause more farts? Now, I don't know this one, Brian. I don't know the answer to that. It probably doesn't, because honestly, they're going to be consuming their calories at a lower rate than they would be if they were consuming the grains. So I don't know, but I guess it is higher fiber, wouldn't it be? Maybe there needs to be a study. You should call up old Greta Thunberg there and ask her if grass feeding makes that much of a difference. Oh, Lordy. I did see a article today that by next year, we are going to have basically mammoths again on the planet. They're trying to start a population of wild mammoths in a remote park up in like Canada or Siberia or some bullshit place. Sorry, Canada or Siberia. But out in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. And they synthesize the genes of mammoths from samples they've had and created the embryos. And apparently they're currently impregnated in some African elephants. And I was like, oh, supposedly they're talking about climate balance is the reason why they want to do it. So how the heck is it climate balance? Do you think an elephant farts less than a freaking cow? You're complaining about cow farts, but you're trying to bring back mammoths for the climate? Yeah, never makes any sense. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, exactly. It sounds like Jurassic Park. Exactly. That couldn't go wrong. There's no way. But anyway, hey, you know what? Maybe we could hunt them. That's fine. Let them out. We'll end up having to hunt them to extinction again because they'll run over, Karen's condo. There's no way that can go wrong. But anyway, off the rails there a little bit. But when it comes down to the livestock feed between what you can grow yourself and what you can get from the grocery store, don't grocery store, the feed store. Wow. Don't starve your animals. Obviously, you need to provide for those their nutritional needs. But if you can grow things at home, and I know there's a lot of folks doing stuff with fodder trees. I don't know enough about fodder trees to say that it would be a good resource for something like cattle. But I know for goats, rabbits, even poultry, it can be highly beneficial. And I do need to get more into that myself. I have some hybrid willow going. So that's a start. I haven't dove into the whole poplar side of things, but there are a ton of wild mulberries that grow in Southeast Texas. So I do use those as sort of a tree hay for the horse, the goat, everything that I can. And it does help cut down a lot on the hay bill, and they really seem to enjoy it. So anytime you can grow something yourself, obviously do it. But it's hard to get away from that feed bill. Anyways, folks, I'm probably going to wrap it up here in just a little bit. I didn't have a whole ton more to share on it. If anybody's got some questions, I should check on Telegram. I would normally check on my phone, but I've got TikTok going over there. But let me open it up on the computer, make sure I'm not missing over here. I see Kyle jumped in there with a GIF, and there it is. He says it's go time. Yeah. Anyways, if we don't have anything else going on here, guys, I'm probably going to go ahead and try to get it wrapped up and rest my voice a little bit. Like I said, I am kind of still getting over that cold. I've managed to make it so far without having to stop to cough, so that's good. I think I'm on the downhill side of it. I did have a really good interview last night. I managed to make that through an hour and a half over there with Porterhouse from the Porterhouse and Teal channel. Check them out on YouTube. Really good homesteading channel. Cool guy. We had a really cool discussion. Went all over the place from my background, me stabbing myself with a sword, stuff about him and hiking in his past. So really fun discussion. Good one to check out. And yeah, I'm going to keep on posting everything up there on TikTok every morning and over there in the Telegram chat. So if you're not in the Telegram chat, be sure to check it out. It's a good old time over there. We're up to about 85 people now. And we've got an audio question every morning. Lots of discussion throughout the day. And it's kind of hopping, so it's the place to get a hold of me if you are looking to get in touch. I still am working on that seasoning project. Hopefully here, beginning of the month sometime, we'll be coming out with at least a few offerings for a potential seasoning of the month club. I do have that sweet pan sausage seasoning now available as well, and I still have a few samples left of the sugar-free if you want to try it out. So holler at me, and if you want to cover shipping, I'll send you a sample of it, and just give me honest feedback on it, and hopefully that'll be something we'll really be pushing out to a bunch of people soon. So that uses stevia instead of any kind of artificial sweetener. So I mean, unless you are like an individual that I inadvertently sent some out to, and thankfully talked to me before they use it, unless you're allergic to stevia, which I think is extremely rare, but hey, go figure. Well, you should be good to go. So it doesn't have any of that aspartame or anything weird like that. So anyways, I don't know what we got going on. Okay, there we are. Back online, apparently. Anyways, folks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up with that. If there's anything that you are looking for, give me a holler. Appreciate it there, Brian. He says, thanks. Thank you, guys. Be sure to follow over here on YouTube if you're listening. Appreciate it if you're listening on the audio after the fact. Be sure to follow over there on TikTok as well. Check it out on TikTok. That's growing like crazy. And we've got some fun discussion that goes over there in video format as well. So appreciate y'all hanging out. You guys have a great night, and we will catch y'all later.